our Savior. The mercy of our God. The cross that leaves no question of the measure of His love. Our chains are gone, our debt is paid. The cross has overthrown the grave. For Jesus' blood that sets us free means death to death and life for me. The innocent judge guilty, while the guilty one walks free. Death would be his portion, and our portion liberty. Our chains are gone, our debt is paid. The cross has overthrown the grave. For Jesus' blood that sets us free means death to death and a life for me. I give my whole life to honor this love. By the Lamb who was slain, I'm forgiven. The sinner's Savior, crown Him forever. For the Lamb who was slain, He is risen. I give my whole life to honor this love. By the Lamb who was slain, I'm forgiven. The sinner's Savior, crown Him forever. For the Lamb who was slain, He is risen. Our chains are gone, our debt is paid. The cross has overthrown the grave. For Jesus' blood that sets us free means death to death and a life for me. Means death to death and a life for me. I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise and treasures the fame are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together. Every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing is better than you.
picture that Jesus gives of himself in the Bible, and he says, "Here I am. I stand at the door and I knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me." And to me, it's such an interesting picture of the God of the universe that would make himself vulnerable to our rejection. When he, instead of just walking through the door, he would actually knock and allow us to invite him in. And it's interesting to me because when I go to Wes and Zal's house, I hardly ever knock anymore. I just kind of walk in. And if they're lucky, I would ring the doorbell. And before they could even get up, I would just walk in anyway. But if that's how we are with our friends, it's interesting that God would actually knock and then wait for a response from us. And this last song that we're going to sing, it's one that we've sung quite often before, but we haven't actually done the first two verses in a really long time. And there are a couple lines in this song, and it says, "You were near." This is us speaking to God. "You were near, though I was distant. You were waiting at the door, then I let you in." And this song is an invitation to all of us this morning that maybe whether you've been to church all your life or whether this is all really new to you, maybe there are areas in your life that you haven't yet invited God in. Maybe there are things that you've tried to work out and stress about and figure out in your own strength. And this morning, God is inviting us to actually allow him in those places of our hearts. "Here I am," Jesus says, "I stand at the door and I knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me."
You were near, but I was distant. Disillusioned, I was lost and insecure. So merciful for my attention. You were waiting at the door, and I let you in. Defend transformation that you encourage and inspire, and the influence that you have, and most importantly for your love that was the only thing that can make a way. And so we thank you for the exchange that happened, for the just for the most precious gift that you could give us, life. Thank you for loving us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, pressure building, body shaking, overthinking, stomach twisting, heart beating. Maybe I should just give up. Will I ever measure up? I don't think I'm good enough. Are these familiar feelings? Familiar thoughts that are spoken inside our heads? Fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, they're like another voice, another person in our mind telling us what to think, who we are, what we can and cannot do. And the thing is, the more we listen, the more these voices move us, the louder, more powerful, and more debilitating they become. Fear causes us to isolate, when as humans what we need is to communicate, to allow others and God into our experience. But when fear and anxiety seem to shadow us, to manipulate every step and dance around every corner, how do we silence them and get rid of this internal torture?
Throw the covers over my head, finding comfort in my own bed, staring at a screen light, looking at the highlights, everybody's good life, reminding me of what I don't have. Second guessing who I really am. Maybe I should give up. Will I ever measure up? I don't think I'm good enough. Pressure building, body shaking. I can't take it, I can't take it. Feel the tension, pushing, pulling. I can't fight it, I can't fight it. I don't wanna live my life like this, anxious. I got a lot of good in me to give, but I'm anxious. So many things I know I miss, 'cause I'm anxious. I wish I could shake this. I don't wanna be anxious. Devils running around my mind. Why do I let myself believe the lies? It's like I'm his playground. Push me in the background and I shut the world out. Pressure building, body shaking. I can't take it, I can't take it. Feel the tension, pushing, pulling. I can't fight it, I can't fight it. I don't wanna live my life like this, anxious. I got a lot of good in me to give, but I'm anxious. So many things I know I miss, 'cause I'm anxious. I wish I could shake this. I don't wanna be anxious. but I'm anxious. So many things I know I miss, 'cause I'm anxious. I wish I could shake this. I don't wanna be anxious.
Pretty powerful stuff, right? And I think it's pretty epic how connected maybe some of us might feel to that dance right there. How we might feel anxious. How we might feel that it feels like someone else is controlling us. That we're full of fear, anxiety, maybe doubt. It's crazy. I want us to sit in that a little bit, because I think we don't sit in it enough sometimes. Just to realize that this happens to all of us, that this is a very human thing for us, and that's okay. We're in our fourth week of our human series, and we've been journeying through many different stories of the Bible. Some epic stuff has been heard and has been spoken about, and last week Zal spoke about pride, and it got me, because I'm someone that struggles with pride often. And I hope that throughout the past 4 weeks that something that has been spoken has hit a chord with you, that you've connected to it somehow, that you realize that we are human, and it's okay. But today, I want to chat to us about something that I truly believe that regardless of what we believe in, who we believe in, whether we follow Jesus or whether we're looking at him or whether we have nothing to do with him, this is something that affects us all. Age doesn't matter with this. Experiences doesn't matter with this. It affects us all no matter what. And that thing is fear. And so there are different types of fear, right? It's not just one fear. It's not just about being scared. But there are different elements to fear. So maybe, all right, maybe it's a fear of the unknown. Maybe for some of us, we don't like not knowing what's going to happen in the future. Maybe for some of us, we don't like knowing or not knowing things. So we have a fear of this unknown. We like to know. Maybe it's a fear of failing. Maybe we fear failing, even if it's failing forward, right? Maybe it's a fear of failing. Maybe, all right, for some of us, it's a fear of falling back into addiction, whatever that might look like. Maybe for some of us, it's, man, I don't want to go back there. That's a part of my life I don't want to experience ever again, but I'm fearful that I will. Maybe for some of us, it's a fear that pushes you out of your comfort zone. We like our comfort zones, right? But maybe this thing that we have to go through, maybe what we're going through right now, what we're experiencing in life, is pushing us so far out of our comfort zone that we're just scared, we're fearful. Maybe it's a fear of loneliness. Maybe we just don't want to be alone. Maybe we can't be alone. And so we're fearful of it. With all these fears, do you know what that makes us? You can tell me, what do you think that makes us? Hint, it's the title of our series. Oh, so good. With all of this makes us human. It makes us human. So I want to ask you, what is a fear that you want to run away and hide from? A fear that wants to make you give up, right? A fear that makes you doubt that God is really for you or that he exists in the first place. We're gonna explore a story, and it's about this man right here. It's about Elijah. And Elijah experienced this fear firsthand. And the thing with Elijah's story is that Elijah, he's got 4 chapters that describe who he is. And it's probably some of the most epic story ever. He does some amazing things through God. God uses him to do some of the most epic things. And we hear as we progress in the story of the Bible that his legacy wasn't just in that moment. It continued far on, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years after. Right? So for example, here are just some of the things, all right? Actually, I've listed all the things, but I won't go in detail. In chapter 17, in the first verse, God says, Elijah, no rain for this land. And so Elijah says, hey, there will be no rain and no dew until I say so. And there was no rain in the land for 3 years. It goes on. The second thing that we say or see is that God says, hey, actually, after you've done this, I want you to go and I want you to hide in a ravine. But don't worry, because some ravens will come and feed you. And so, I don't know about you, but I would have gone, okay, interesting. I don't know if I want to do that. But Elijah goes, okay, here we go. Let's go. Ravens, where's my food? Then, after he's in the ravine, God says, hey, actually, I want you to go to this place. It's a specific place. I can't tell you the name, but it's in the Bible. And when you go there, there will be a widow, and she'll take care of you. And so he goes there, and while he's there, he finds this widow, and the widow says, hey, look, I don't even have enough food. I don't have enough flour and oil to make enough bread for even my son and myself. That's it. And so Elijah says, don't worry. For the duration that I'm with you, for the duration of this drought, you will not run out of flour and oil. And it happened. They didn't run out. If we go to the next slide, while he's with the widow, her son dies, and she's freaking out. She's telling Elijah, what have I done wrong? So Elijah says, don't worry. He takes him up to the upper part of the house. He pleads with God, and God hears his cry and then raises the boy from the dead. Then God says, hey, actually, you know what? I want you to go back. I want you to go back to the land that you said no more rain and no more dew. And I want you to say that the rain's going to come back. And so Elijah does that. But then he takes it a step further and he challenges the people there that were misleading the nation of Israel in their faith with God. They got them to focus on other gods. And so he challenges them and he says, hey, look, you can choose what bull you want. You can cut it up how you like that and that and that. Put it on the altar and then pray to your gods. And if it burns up on the altar, then we will stop worshiping God and we will follow you. But I will do the same. And if God burns up my altar, then you will not worship your gods and you will follow us. So they try and they try for hours and hours and hours. Nothing. And then Elijah prays once and is caught in flames. And then he goes and kills all the other prophets, the bad ones. It's epic. Please go read it. It's a good story. Just don't read it to your kids. Epicness. But it doesn't even stop there. Because in 2 Kings, Elijah is an old man now. He's coming to the end of his life. And God says, I assume, I don't want Elijah just to go the normal way. Okay? I've got something special planned for him. And so he sends him a chariot of fire to take him up to heaven. I don't know about you, but I think that sounds pretty epic. Right? Not even that, because it continues. Because hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later, when Jesus comes along, all right, we see that people think that Jesus is Elijah. They ask him, are you the prophet Elijah that's come back? Jesus is like, no, I'm not. People think that Jesus is Elijah. Elijah's epicness was huge. Elijah's legacy expanded for generations and years. But then, There's a moment in his story. There's a moment in his story that makes a little no sense, almost no sense. It doesn't seem like it should fit there because of everything that Elijah had accomplished with God. I mean, he accomplished a lot, and we only just skimmed it. The epicness was real because of Elijah's relationship with God. But then there's a moment in his story that makes no sense, or almost no sense. And so this is what it says. It's found in 1 Kings chapter 19. And this is how it goes. All right? It says, "Now Ahab told Jezebel," who was Ahab's wife, who kind of led everyone away from God, everything that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with a sword. Right? And it continues, and it says, "So Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah to say, 'May the gods deal with me, be it ever so severely, if by this time tomorrow I do not make your life like that of one of them.'" Basically, Jezebel says, "Elijah, I am threatening you. I am threatening you because you have done something naughty, and I don't like it. And if I haven't killed you by this time tomorrow, let my gods punish me so bad, I will accept it." And this is Elijah's response. Elijah was afraid. Elijah was afraid. Elijah was fearful. Elijah was anxious. And so what did he do? He ran for his life. He ran away. Isn't this kind of confusing? We've just seen Elijah throughout his story and past this point as well. His epicness, the way that God used him. And here he's afraid. He's afraid and he runs away. When he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there. So he was traveling with someone. And then it goes on. While he himself went a day's journey into the desert. So he continued his journey. All right? He continued alone. He came to a broom tree, sat down under it, and prayed that he might die. That he might die? It goes on, and this is what Elijah says. "I have had enough, Lord," he said. "Take my life. I am not better than any of my ancestors. God, I cannot do this anymore. I'm tired, I'm scared, I'm anxious, I'm fearful, and I don't want to do it anymore." It kind of makes no sense. It doesn't seem like it should fit. Because Elijah did amazing things. God did amazing things through Elijah. Their relationship was so strong that he was able to raise a boy from the dead, to stop rain for 3 years. Elijah had done amazing things for God, and God used Elijah for amazing things. But this is the truth. Because, next slide. The fear that had taken hold was more powerful than the truth of who God is. This was Elijah's reality. The fear that Jezebel had spoken was more powerful than the truth, the experiences that Elijah experienced God firsthand. That fear was more powerful than that truth. And this is the tension. Because even one of the greatest followers of God, a person that was so epic, a person whose relationship with God was so strong that he was able to do all of this, was fearful. He was fearful that God wouldn't be able to provide. He was anxious that God wouldn't be able to do for him, even though that he saw what God had done firsthand. And I think this is something that we forget. So what about us? What about us? Have we maybe had moments like this in our life? Have we had moments where fear takes hold and overpowers the truth? Have we maybe had moments where we don't believe, but we want to trust, but we're fearful of it? We're fearful. Have we maybe had a moment like Elijah where an enemy or a lie or fear or doubts are chasing after you and you feel like God is far away? And all we want to do is hide in a cave. All we want to do is hide. But what if? This is my favorite. I think this is my favorite saying. But what if? What if God is near? What if he is so close that all he has to do is whisper to us? Part of Elijah's story is that he travels for 40 days and he travels for 40 nights. And he comes to this mountain called Horeb. And in that mountain there are obviously caves. And so he hides in one of these caves. And then in 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 11, this is what God says to him. He says, "Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." All right, he speaks to Elijah. Hey, go and stand outside. Elijah doesn't do it, but it goes on. And it says, "Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountain apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind." And then it goes on. And he says, "After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake." And it goes on. And it says, next slide. No, sorry, previous. "And after the earthquake, came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire." And then it goes on. And it says, "And after the fire came a gentle whisper." And this was Elijah's response. Elijah goes, when Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. I think this is brilliant. I think this highlights something that regardless of whether we believe in God, whether we are exploring it, whether we've heard about him, whatever it is, this is brilliant. Because it highlights sometimes a misunderstanding that we have about God, a misbelief sometimes. And that belief is that we think that God, the only way that we know that God exists, the only way that we know that God loves us, the only way that we know that God is there for us is only in the big moments. And if he is not showing up in the big moments, then he doesn't care. I believe that's a misbelief. But don't get me wrong, I don't believe that God can't do big moments, because he can. I'm just saying that it might not be all the time. Sometimes it is a gentle whisper. Because when I think of it, a big gesture is when you're trying to get someone's attention, right? If someone is across the room, Warwick, for example, "Hey man, how are you? You're exaggerated, you're big, you want to get their attention because they're so far away. So you're loud, you're humongous. You just want their attention." And so, big gesture. But when you're whispering, you're close by. There's no need to yell. Because if you were yelling, it would be kind of annoying, right? It's like my brother's dog. He's all up in your face all the time. All the time. He's big. He's a big dog. But he's just hyper all the time. He'll come and lick your face and all that. Please stop. Big gestures. They don't need to happen when you're close by. I think this highlights something awesome. That God is near. God was near Elijah, and all he had to do was whisper for him to hear. I don't know where we're at today. I don't know where you guys are at in your own personal journeys. I don't know where you guys are at in your faith. I don't know where you guys are at in exploring who God is, all right? But I want to tell you that God is close. That God might be whispering. God whispered to Elijah to show him and tell him that he was close, that he had never wandered away from him. I want us to remember something, okay? And if you forget everything that I've said, if nothing makes sense, okay, just remember this. This is the truth, all right? There will be moments in our life where fear will take hold and overpower the truth. That is a fact. That happens all the time. It happens in your life, it happens in my life, but that is the truth. Fear will take over sometimes, and fear will overpower the truth sometimes. But there is hope. There is hope. Because all we have to do is listen for the gentle whisper to know that God is close. There is hope. God can work in the big moments, without a doubt. But God is maybe telling us, maybe telling you that He's close. Maybe He's whispering that He's close. So there are a few things that I think will help us with this. There are three things that I want to share with you guys that I think can help us. And the first is this, all right? The first is to listen. Listen. Take the time to listen. Take 5 minutes. Not a day, not in a week. One time a month. Make it as simple as possible. 5 minutes. Take time to listen. Put it in your schedule. I don't mind if you take your phones out right now and do it. I encourage you. Just listen to the rest of what I have to say. For some of us, it might mean reading our Bible. Yes, that thing. For some of us, we might have forgotten where the Bible is because we put it away. For some of us, we've got to take it off the shelf and dust it off a little bit and read it. For some of us, it might be just reading the Bible. Take time to listen. Because I think and I believe that God is near and God is whispering. All right? The other part of that is don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. Wes spoke about this at the beginning of our series about community and how we were created for community. Don't do it alone. You don't have to do it alone, so why would you do it alone? Don't do it alone. When fear has taken hold, it is hard to do it alone. When you have people around you, when you have your community around you, people feeding into your life, speaking into you, maybe even speaking what God wants to speak to you, that fear, it's easy to overcome. Don't do it alone. You don't have to, so why would you? And then the last one is this. Move. Move. This is the truth. It's easier to stay in fear than it is to move out of it. All right? Really, it is. But don't stay there. Don't stay there. Because that's not life. God wants life for us. And so, move. Move. In the story of Elijah, it says this. It says, the Lord said to him, go back the way you came. Even God said to Elijah, hey, I want you to get up and I want you to move. And sometimes God is going to send us back the way we came. Sometimes God is going to send us back the way where fear is. The fear that we ran away in the first place. But it's okay. Because actually we can move in confidence. Because if God is whispering to us, that means God is near us. And if we're not doing it alone, that means our community is with us. And if we are listening to that gentle whisper, we can actually move in confidence back to the thing that caused us fear in the first place with confidence going, I can do this. I can do this because God strengthens me and I have my community and I know that He is near me because I can hear Him whispering to me. So move. Don't stay in fear. Don't do it alone. And listen. Listen for that gentle whisper. Let it be a reminder that God is near you. Let it be something that fuels you, knowing that God is near you. I hope we're encouraged. I hope we leave today feeling encouraged. I hope whatever fear is in your life, that we take time to listen to that gentle whisper. And when we hear it, be encouraged. Be encouraged. Because you can do it. Not long ago, during quarantine, this was my struggle. This was my struggle. Fear. Fear of past mistakes that I had done. Fear of future mistakes that I probably will make, without a doubt, because I'm human. I was so scared, and I did not want to be a part of it anymore. I did not want to be a part of it. I understand a little bit. I was scared. And it took time. It takes time. I'm still going through it. I'm still dealing with it. Take time to listen. Don't do it alone. Move. Because actually, the truth is, we talk about how epic Elijah was and how epic his relationship with God was and how he was able to do so many things because God said, I'm empowering you and I'm using you. And we think that there's a disconnect, that we cannot be like Elijah. But I'm actually telling you, I think God sees you as Elijah's. I think he goes, Elijah was epic, but look at the epicness that is in this room. You are like Elijah. You are like David. Oh, you remind me of Jesus. God sees us that way. God sees us that way. And he wants to use us. There's one thing I want to leave us with, okay? It's this. Our humanity has never stopped God from pursuing relationship with us. Our humanity, in our fear, in our pride, in our anger, in whatever it might be, has never stopped God from pursuing relationship with us. Never. From beginning to end. So, we go to the next slide. Don't let your humanity stop you from pursuing a relationship with God. If our humanity does not bother God, then let's not let our humanity bother us about reaching out to God. Because God sees us and goes, wow, that's beautiful. Wow, that's epic. Wow, I can use him. Wow, she is awesome. Let me pray. Dear God, thank you so much for how you love us. Thank you that our humanity has never stopped you from pursuing relationship with us. Thank you that you view us like Elijah in all his epicness. Thank you for loving us. God, I pray for whoever in our community today is struggling with fear, struggling with pride, struggling with anger, struggling with whatever it may be that makes us so human, Lord. I pray that they are encouraged. I pray that they leave encouraged and they walk in encouragement, knowing that you are close, that you don't need to do big gesture things, that actually all you need to do is whisper because you are that close. God, I pray that we take the time to listen for that whisper. I pray that we don't do it alone, that we don't do life alone, that we surround ourselves with people that feed into us constantly, that speak who you are and the truth of who you are. And I pray, Lord, that we move. It's easy to stay in fear, but it's better for us to move out of it. And when we can move out of it, we know that you are with us because you're whispering. Lord, please bless this community, bless this people. Keep whispering. Thank you for loving us. In Jesus' name, amen.